I'm Dr. Preeti Sonjay, professor in the Department of Anatomy, Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College, Pune. Today we are going to discuss gross anatomy of heart. So, after reflecting the skin and removing the anterior wall, we can see the heart is located in the middle mediastinum. And in the middle mediastinum, it is covered by a fibroserous sac, which is called as pericardial sac. This pericardium has got two layers, the outer fibrous and the inner serous layer. Functions of pericardium are to prevent the excessive movements of the heart. It also prevents the cardiac distension, and it also acts as a lubricant so that the heart can smoothly contract and relax. So as we can see here, we have cut open the pericardial cavity to see the heart in its normal anatomical position. So after opening the pericardial cavity, we can see the anterior or the sternocostal surface of the heart. We can also see the right auricle, superior vena cava. Then after slightly retracting it towards the left side, we can also see the inferior vena cava. This is the aorta. Now this pericardium has got two sinuses. One is the transverse sinus. So as we can see here, the transverse sinus is located behind the aorta and pulmonary trunk. So the clinical significance of transverse sinus is during cardiac surgery, when the heart is open anteriorly, the ligature is passed, the temporary ligature is passed through this transverse sinus. So this is the transverse sinus of pericardium, and from both the sides it communicates with the pericardial cavity. Now on the posterior surface of the heart, we have the another sinus of the pericardium, that is called as the oblique sinus. It is located behind the base or the posterior surface of heart, and it allows the distension of left atrium of the heart when the blood returns from the lungs to the heart. So, coming to external features of heart, as we can see, after holding the heart in normal anatomical position, we can see it has got three surfaces. This is the anterior surface, which is also called as sternocostal surface. This surface is mainly formed by the right auricle, right ventricle, and very small portion is formed by the left ventricle. Then the inferior surface, the surface which is resting on my hand is the inferior surface, which is also called as diaphragmatic surface. So this is formed by the right ventricle as well as left ventricle. Then the posterior surface of the heart, which is nothing but base of heart. It is mainly formed by the left atrium and partially by the left ventricle. So these are the three surfaces of heart. Coming to borders of the heart, it has got right border, inferior border, left border, and superior border. So right border of the heart is almost vertical. It is mainly formed by the small portion of superior vena cava, right atrium, and a very small portion of right ventricle. Here we have the inferior border of the heart, which is extending between the opening of inferior vena cava till the apex of the heart, and this inferior border is mainly formed by the right ventricle of heart. Coming to the left border of the heart, now this left border is oblique, and it is mainly formed by the left ventricle and partially by the left auricle. Superior border of the heart is ill-defined because here we have the aorta and pulmonary trunk. So at this level lies superior border of heart. So these are the surfaces and borders of heart. Now here we can see the pointed portion called as apex of the heart, which is for the right as well as left ventricle, mainly by the left ventricle, and it is directed towards the left side in normal anatomical position, usually lies in the left fifth intercostal space. It is also located 9 cm away from the midline. So that is the apex of the heart. Now base of the heart lies on the posterior surface of the heart. So if you just rotate it, we can see this is the posterior surface, which is also called as base of the heart. So the left atrium is mainly forming the base of the heart. Here we can see these are the openings of pulmonary veins in the left atrium. Now this base lies in front of 4th to 8th thoracic vertebrae. So that was about the base and apex of the heart. So all these are the different external features, important external features of the heart. Now as we can see here, this chamber is the right atrium, and from this chamber we can see a small outpouching which is called as right auricle. This is the right ventricle. Here we have the left ventricle, and as we have already seen, along the posterior surface we have the left atrium. So these are the chambers of the heart, and these chambers are separated by different sulci. So what are these different sulci which we are seeing on the external surface of the heart? There are 3 important sulci. Is the atrioventricular sulcus, which is also called as coronary sulcus. Now this coronary sulcus is not seen very clearly on the anterior surface, but if we see the posterior surface, here we can see this is the atrioventricular sulcus or the coronary sulcus, the one which is present between the atria and ventricles. And here it lodges the main venous channel of the heart, that is nothing but the coronary sinus. So here we can see the coronary sinus. Another sulcus which is seen on the inferior surface between the 2 ventricles is called as posterior interventricular sulcus. This lodges the posterior interventricular artery along with the middle cardiac vein. Similarly, on the anterior surface also between the 2 ventricles, we can see the anterior interventricular sulcus, which lodges the anterior interventricular branch of the left coronary artery along with the great cardiac vein. So these are the external features of heart. Now we are going to discuss the interior of the heart. So first, seeing the internal features, first we are going to see the interior of the right atrium. So this is the right atrium. For seeing the interior, we have taken a vertical cut extending from the superior vena cava to inferior vena cava. So after reflecting the wall, posterior wall of this right atrium, we can see a vertical ridge like structure which is called as crista terminalis. Extending from this, we can see the thick band like structures which are parallel to each other. They are called as musculi pectinati. So here we can see these are the features which are seen on the rough part of the right atrium. Here we have the opening of superior vena cava. So this is the opening of superior vena cava. Now here we have already cut open the inferior vena cava. We can see the opening of inferior vena cava. Also here we can see in the lower part of the right atrium, we can also see the opening of the venous channel which is getting the venous blood from the heart, that is nothing but coronary sinus. So this is the opening of coronary sinus. So these are the different openings inside the right atrium of heart. Now this is representing the interatrial septum, and on this interatrial septum we can very clearly see this oval depression which is called as fossa ovalis, and the upper margin is thickened which is called as limbus fossa ovalis. So as we all know, the fossa ovalis represents the embryological remnant of septum primum, and limbus fossa ovalis represents the embryological remnant of the free margin of septum secundum. Then coming to atrioventricular orifice. So again, here we can see, after opening the right atrium, we can see this is the atrioventricular orifice, which is guarded by a valve. Now this valve has three cusps, as we can see here. That's why we call it as tricuspid valve. So all these are the features we can see on the interior of right atrium. Similarly, here we have cut open the ventricles. Now we all know that ventricles are mainly formed by the muscle, that is the cardiac muscle. The wall mainly consists of the myocardium. So after opening the right ventricle, here we can see the thickening of the wall of the right ventricle. Now we are going to see the comparison between the thickness of the wall of the right and left ventricle. So after opening the left ventricle, we can compare the thickness. So this is the thickness which is quite more as compared to the right ventricle of the heart. So that is showing us the comparison of the thickness of myocardium between the two ventricles. Now after opening the ventricles, we can see these small triangular muscles which are called as papillary muscles, and these papillary muscles are attached to these cusps of the valve with the help of small thread-like structures which are called as chordae tendineae. So these are the papillary muscles, these are the chordae tendineae, and these are the cusps of the valves. So that is about the interior of the ventricle. Now, as we all know, the right atrium and the right ventricle, as they are separated by the tricuspid valve guarding the right atrioventricular orifice, similarly on the left side, the left atrioventricular orifice is guarded by bicuspid valve. Now, if we see this specimen, we can see the aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So same as that of atrioventricular orifice, which are guarded by valves, similarly the aorta and pulmonary trunk, they are also having valves which are called as semilunar valves. Both the aorta and pulmonary trunk has got semilunar valves which are having three cusps. So after opening the aorta, we can see the semilunar valve. So here we have cut open the aorta, and these are the cusps of the semilunar valve. So this is the semilunar valve which is present inside the aorta. So that was all about the interior of the heart. Now coming to blood supply of heart. As we all know, heart is receiving its blood supply mainly by the two coronary arteries, right and left coronary arteries. So here we can see the right coronary artery. We have to just retract some portion of the right auricle. We can see the origin of right coronary artery from the right aortic sinus. So here is the right coronary. Then it is going towards the inferior border. Before it reaches the inferior border, it gives the branch, SA nodal branch, and it also gives small branches to the right atrium. So here we can appreciate the small branch which is going to the atrium. Then it turns on the inferior border and it gives a marginal branch, right marginal artery. After that, now we are going to trace the right coronary artery in the atrioventricular sulcus. So here is the right coronary artery which is seen on the posterior aspect or the base. Now, most of the times this right coronary artery gives out the posterior interventricular branch which decides the coronary dominance. So here we can very clearly see the posterior interventricular artery which is passing through the posterior interventricular sulcus, and this posterior interventricular artery is also accompanied by the middle cardiac vein. So it is also accompanied by the vein. So here we can see the vein which is draining into the coronary sinus. Here we can see one more branch which is coming from the right coronary artery, and it is supplying the ventricle. It is supplying the left ventricle. So that is about the right coronary artery. Similarly, here we can retract the pulmonary trunk and we can see the origin of the left coronary artery from the left posterior aortic sinus. So here we can see the origin of the left coronary artery. So after coming on the left border, here we can see the branch which is given by the left coronary, which is going to the anterior interventricular sulcus, is the anterior interventricular artery. So usually it is accompanied by the great cardiac vein. Here in this specimen we couldn't get the great cardiac vein, but here you can very clearly see the left coronary artery. So here if we retract the pulmonary trunk, we can see the origin of left coronary artery from the left posterior aortic sinus. Left coronary, after its origin, left border of the heart, it divides into branch. As you can see here, this is the anterior interventricular artery which is passing into the anterior interventricular groove along with the great cardiac vein. In the specimen, we can see the myocardial tissue which is covering anterior interventricular artery, and this is called as myocardial bridge. The myocardial bridge is considered as a normal condition which is usually seen in about 30 to 50% of the doesn't cause any significant clinical symptoms, but sometimes after exercise patient may feel chest pain if he is having the myocardial bridges, because it may constrict the blood vessel. Now after giving the anterior interventricular branch, here we can see, if we just retract the left auricle, we can see the diagonal branch. Then we can see the circumflex branch. So this is the circumflex branch which is winding around the left border. So this is the circumflex branch, and here we can see the left marginal artery. So that is about the blood supply of heart. The peculiarity of these coronary vessels is they are forming the large vasa vasorum in the body. Anatomically, though they are not the end arteries, functionally they act as end arteries. Then a very small portion regarding the walls of the heart. When we talk about the interior, we have seen the interior of the ventricles. So the innermost layer of the wall of the heart is called as endocardia. The middle thick layer, which is formed by the cardiac muscle, here you can see these are the muscle fibers of the cardiac muscle, is called as myocardium, and the outer connective tissue layer is called as pericardium. So here we have just reflected a small portion of pericardium. So that was all about gross anatomy of heart. Thank you.